Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us on in as we kick off a brand new week. Lon Strickler and Strange Days returns. Before we bring Lon in, let's say hello to everyone listening on in on our terrestrial affiliates and in our chat room. Race fan in the gold medal position. Awesome Man B takes home the silver. The lovely Jenny with a rare bronze medal. Michael Morris, how you doing? Roy Boy, North Alabama Cryptid, how you guys doing? North Alabama, by the way, will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. All right, moving on here. We have Go 66, Boo, Kevin, Mark Longoria, how you guys doing? Awesome Man Palmer, nice to see you. John Hinoyosa and the gorgeous Jeanette Sanchez, the lovely Kathy Evans, the awesome Cat Chaser. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Luis Pagan, welcome to SOR Chat. Very glad that you're here. Moving on, let's see who else we have. Oh, the Vivacious Vixen Doe. Stunning Samantha Hazelwood Gray. Black Dragon, how y'all doing? Thanks for coming on in. Mama Susan, Doc from Wyoming. Good to have you both here. Thank you for joining us. And there's Grant Tavius. Good to have you here, buddy. And who else do we have here? Well, we have the Luscious Jewels. We have, let's see here. I know that Grandpa Holland is here. He'll be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio for Grandpa Holland. To the right of the studio. All right, Desert Rat, good to see you, Simon Condon. Thanks for coming on in. And there's Doug Shelby. The Doug Shelby has arrived. We are officially on board for tonight. And who else is joining us here? Stu Gerson, Dirty Filth. Nice to have you both here. Millennium, always a pleasure, my man. Ed Clater, always like it when you're here. And let's move on. The gorgeous Nicole Sakic has returned. The stunning Cindy is back. Digger Dog, War Eagle, lovely Laura, the gorgeous Kathleen Hughes. And who else we have? The lovely Christine is here. And who else is joining us? The Aussie wonder herself, Science Melinda. There she is. Give us a wave, Melinda. The gorgeous Fidgety Aura, thanks for joining us. And let's see who else we got here. Let's take a little look-see here. Well, scrolling on down. Johnny Blaze, Third Rock. Ozzy, oi, oi to you, my friend. And there's our man Worsley. Good to have you here. Human Carl's here. Human Carl, everybody. We love our veterans around here. Human Carl is a wonderful veteran, and all veterans have a safe place here in our chat room. River Dogma, good to see you. Rhonda Monpetit, welcome back. Sheila Loya, welcome to SOR Chat. The gorgeous Avi May, Randy Spurl, good to have you all here. Thank you for coming on in. Escape from Blue Jersey, it's been a while. Glad to have you back. And who else is joining us here? Let's take a little peek here. Well, we have Phil Minervino. There he is. Big Bad Philzy's back. And Michael Fontaine, welcome back, my friend. Space Cadet 8th G, welcome to SOR Chat. And I think we are officially caught up. Yeah, I think we are. In the studio, welcome. Let's get the radio side started here. All right, we're almost there, people. We are almost there. Margie O looking lovely tonight. How are you? And D. Cohen, you're looking lovely as well. Good to see you. And how you doing, my man? All right. We are approximately 30 seconds away from blasting off tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com. And we love it when he's here. The super chat is open. It is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So let's see who will be the first one to kick it off tonight. And, of course, the store, the SOR shop, is open as well. You go get your Spaced Out Radio swag right there and have a good one. We're going to get things going here in like 4 seconds, everyone. 4 seconds. So do me the favor, horns up. Let's rock. Of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around America, digitally on Revolution Radio, Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old baby the favor. Hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show, it's brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a fantastic show for you tonight. We are talking monsters all night long as Strange Days returns with Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com. Then in hour number 3, we are going to visit the swamp. Swamp Dweller has another spooky story for us. And, of course, the fedora-wearing John Hudson is back with the cryptid, or make that the UFO report. Shirky Poo has the news. Lon Strickler is one of the most fascinating people when it comes to monsters and research. He is a Fortean researcher, author, and publisher of phantomsandmonsters.com. He began the blog in 2005. It's steadily grown in popularity and literally gets tens of thousands of hits each week on his website because people are addicted to monsters. Hard to believe. He's been on many television shows. He is also a very, very good friend of this show. You can find any of his books on Amazon.com. Lon Strickler, it is always a pleasure to have you here on Spaced Out Radio. We missed you the last couple of months because I was traveling, and you're probably like, man, he gets me to do this Strange Days filling in for Butch Witkowski, and then he doesn't show for 2 months. What the hell is this?
Yeah, you jacked me for 2 months, but that's okay.
My friend, it is so good to have you back, and I always love speaking with you because it's always an absolute pleasure to have you here. And you know, what have you been up to the last 3 months? Have you been busy?
Yeah, it's been busy. We've been getting a lot of reports, a lot of different things. Things picked up around O'Hara International again with the winged humanoids, and it's getting a little different than what it was, but yeah, I mean, it's continuing on. It's a never-ending saga, I guess, if you want to call it that.
You ever get bored with this?
Nah. I'll be honest with you. If I didn't like it and I got tired of it, I'd stop doing it. But no, I guess it keeps me going. Every day I'm on that blog and posting stuff and taking phone calls from folks and reading emails and looking into reports and divvying them out to the guys and gals on the team. And, Yeah, it's honestly, it's bigger than I thought it'd ever get. But yeah, I mean, I like it.
I got to ask you, I mean, you've been doing this for a long time now, a better part of 20 years.
40
And
years.
or 40 years, pardon me. You know, I mean, you have heard so many stories over the years. You have heard so much about the phenomena in general.
Mhm.
And, you know, how do you go about deciphering the reality of what is truly going on this planet?
You know, that's kind of a hard one to answer, but there's always something going on. I mean, you know, it never gets boring. You know, sometimes I'll be getting reports that are very similar in nature and in description, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm at the end here. Maybe there's nothing new in the cryptid world, but something else always pops up. And yeah, you know, but you know, we stick with the old cases and keep adding on to them, and just hope people trust us enough to confide in us and what they've experienced and contact us.
Have you ever found any patterns to these sightings and monsters, whether it's the winged humanoids, whether it's these dogmen, whether it's Sasquatch or aliens? Have you ever noticed any patterns over the years that have really stuck out for you?
Well, I don't know. I guess not really. You know, every phenomena does have similarities, but you know, the one thing about cryptid investigations and monsters, or what you want to call them, there's always some kind of connection either between other cryptids or with other phenomena, UFOs, hauntings, you know. Um, for me, that's probably the most interesting part of it. You know, you'll get involved with a certain incident or case and start digging into it and going deeper and deeper with the client, and then something else comes up that they didn't tell us about because they didn't think it really mattered, and that's usually a very important part of the case itself. Um, and we come up with that a lot. That does happen a lot.
Goodness. Goodness. For you, as you continue to roll down this road of trying to find the monsters and trying to track down what's going on, have you ever come closer to any sort of answer? Or are you still as confused and perplexed as you were 40 years ago when you started?
No, I think we're starting to get a better idea of what things are, how things are developing. You know, of course, back then, let's just say Bigfoot, for instance. I had my encounter in '81. The first thing and the thing I thought about for years and years was, well, this is an actual being that's part of our earth plane, something that lives in the woods that's very hard to find. And but you know, as time goes on, you start looking in deeper to the phenomena. Uh, it becomes more apparent that there's more to it. And when I say that, I think cryptids in general have definite supernatural aspects to them, and that's something that many people that do these investigations aren't willing at this point to open up about or to keep an open mind. But I believe that that may eventually be the answer by us continuing to watch and to learn from the witnesses, and maybe we will get some answers. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think being a cryptid hunter is ever going to be a moot point. There's always something going to pop its ugly head.
A lot of what is being speculated now, especially after the U.S. congressional hearings and even before that, Lon,
Mhm.
is that somehow the phenomena is all connected. And I know you and I have had that discussion in the past, and we believe that it is one way or another. At least I do. I
Mhm.
mean, for you, seeing what's going on with the UFO talks that have been going on recently and all the news coming out about that, does that give you hope and promise that one day we might be able to solve some of these cryptid creatures?
Maybe. Um, it's been tough enough to get them to open up about UFOs. As far as Bigfoot and other cryptids and other phenomena, well, that's maybe a different story. I have no doubt that they have knowledge of this stuff. And in fact, I saw that 40 years ago with my encounter that they do have knowledge of this. And with other encounters that people have experienced and talked to me about in the meantime, uh, yeah, I think the government, military, or whatever do have some pretty decent knowledge of these cryptids as well. So I'm pretty sure there's things they're just not telling us, and that doesn't surprise me. We're going to, for the most part, going to have to figure it out on our own. But I think we're getting there, and I'm hopeful that we will start getting more answers as time goes on.
I gotta ask you this though, because I really trust your opinion on this. And that is, I understand why the government would completely cover up aliens, UFOs, especially if they have crash retrievals. I
Mm.
have a very difficult time understanding, Lon, why they would look at covering up cryptids such as Dogman or the Easter Bunny or gnomes or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be a reason behind it. I'm quite sure there's a financial reason behind it for the most part. When you start acknowledging, let's say you start acknowledging that there is actually a Bigfoot, well, then you're going to have people that are going to want certain parts of the country set aside for their habitat, and that's going to cost money. And I think that's, that might be one reason. But, other than that, I don't know. I mean, this is a question that we've been pondering for a long time now. I mean, even when I had my encounter and all these feds and locals show up, and you got to wonder, well, what the hell are they looking at all this for? But honestly, I mean, there have been so many other cases where they've been involved with it. I mean, there have been times when I've looked into cases and I get that knock on the door, and or somebody shows up and says, "We're from here, here, and here, and we'd like for you to back off." That does happen. So they do have an interest.
Okay, I've never heard that before from you.
Oh boy. Okay.
That you opened up a can of worms with me right there, my friend.
Yeah. Well, there have been 3 times when I've been approached by other agencies, NSA mostly, but the one time was I happened to stumble upon a an abandoned nuclear weapon tunnel that wasn't really known, not too far from where I used to live at, and I started making some inquiries about it, and I had somebody come to my door, and they flashed a badge. It was NSA, and they said, we just don't want you to talk about it anymore. I said, no problem. I was just making inquiries. But I think the worst one, I had another one too, because there was a gentleman in Pennsylvania who swore to God that the government was on his property and was videotaping him and getting into his house. And he had been contacting his local congressman and in his district and some other folks in the federal government. And I think they got tired of it. And they told the powers that be about it, and they found out that I was writing a bit about what he was telling me he was experiencing, and I got another knock on the door. I mean, they were always polite about it. They never said anything about, they never threatened me. It was always that, well, we'd like for you to stop. And I did, I figured, well, fine, I'm not going to get myself into a bind for this guy. But the last one was a little different. And this was something to do with another individual who was thinking the government was spying on him. And in fact, Butch got involved with this case with me as well. And anyway, they didn't contact me home. I was at my doctor's office, and I'm back. I go back into the examination room. I'm sitting there, and there's a knock at the door of the examination room. The nurse walks in. She said, "Mr. Strickler, 2 people out here to like to talk to you. I can't bring them back, but you got to go out front in the waiting room." Okay. So I got up and walked out in the waiting room, and it's full of people in there. And there's this guy, man and woman, in one in a suit, one in a dark dress. And in front of everybody, they pull out the badges and Mr. Strickler, National Security Administration. We have an office secured across the hall. We'd like to have a talk with you. I'm thinking to myself, oh, Christ, and what's this all about? So we did. We went out the door, across the hall, into this conference room, and they asked me. They asked me about this guy and some of the things he had been saying. They knew I was I wasn't writing about anything, but they knew I was investigating some of the incidents that he was telling me about. I was doing some research and making some inquiries, and it was very nice about it again. Your government would like you to back off on this. We're not threatening you, but we appreciate you staying away from all this. Okay, fine. So that's about that's the extent of it. But no, there's been 3 occasions.
I'm always, and I shouldn't be, but I'm always so jealous by people like you who've had these encounters with this, because I haven't. I have done literally almost 1,700 shows, man, in the last 7 years, and I haven't got one knock on the door, not one phone call, and here I'm thinking, man, I'm just not good enough. I'm just not good enough.
Well, I guess the mounties don't really care up there where you are. I don't know what the thing is. But my proximity to DC is very close. And maybe that's the reason why. But I've had 3 times. And I think, since I moved to Pennsylvania, I haven't had any incidents happen, but who knows? Maybe I'll get involved with something. Somebody will just want me to keep quiet sometime.
Yeah, I want some Men in Black. I want some of this, and I've talked to enough RCMP officers around here. They know what I do. They know I have a studio in my house. They know that I have, I'm very much into the woo, and that, hey, I'm always open for a story. I've even offered, you guys got to get any of those haunting calls or alien calls. I said, give me a call. I'm right there to help you out, right? You got Bigfoot, I'm there. You got Dogman, I'm there. Sure, they roll their eyes at me, but I mean, you got to keep that door open, because just one day they may call and say, hey, we need some advice here.
Yeah, Butch kind of kidded me about there for a while with that last one when he found out they came in my doctor's office. But, and I told him, I said, well, what do you think I'll do? He said, back off. The bail money for federal is too high. I can't help you out there. So just back off on
it. Lon Strickler is here on Spaced Out Radio with Strange Days. We got 4 minutes to go before we got to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Lon, is there a story that you wouldn't back off if you were told?
Probably. When it's something to do with an actual, what I believe is an actual cryptid or something like that, I probably wouldn't. But I doubt they're going to even go that far with a cryptid case. When you're talking about something to do with a government agency or possibly some government interference or somebody watching, yeah, they probably will. But I'll be honest with you, I as far as with UFO case or a cryptid case, I don't think they'd really get involved. But if they do, if they, let's say they would, well, I had to weigh my odds. But if it's something to where I believe that it really needs to be investigated, I probably won't back off.
Okay, I know you're passionate about this Chicago Mothman.
Mm-hmm.
If all of a sudden the feds came in and said, "Look, Lon, you're getting way too close. You're getting way too deep. I don't know how they approach you on this.
Mm-hmm.
We need you to stop on this. We need you to piss off. We need you to go away on this subject. And by the way, erase everything that you have learned about this." I really don't know how they do this kind of stuff. So please forgive me if I'm sounding a little over romantic about it. But would you give up?
I doubt it. It's just too much work involved. And, myself and the two other gentlemen have been working pretty hard on this now extensively since 2017 and a little bit before. So this is a phenomenon I don't think we're really getting to a point where that, that may actually happen, but you never know. You're right. I doubt it. I think I'd kind of draw the line there.
Go to jail for it?
Possibly.
Wow.
Possibly. I got a good lawyer.
See, I've always taken the approach that if somebody from the Canadian government ever came to me and said, "Hey, Dave, we know what you're doing down in that basement in the middle of nowhere in British Columbia. We need you to stop." My first question would be, how much? I mean,
Yeah.
Hey, if it pays my mortgage, I have no problem. No problem.
Yeah, if they made me an offer I couldn't refuse, maybe I would. I don't know. Who knows?
I can honestly say, in a month or two from now, there might be a new podcast with a guy named Dude Scottins or something like that, right? Right? I don't know. That may happen. It may not.
Yeah.
But, for the most part, I can tell you this. Maybe that's the reason why they haven't come after me, is they know I can be bought.
Well, maybe.
I don't know. We got like 45 seconds, Lon. And, we haven't talked to you in a few months, but there has been a whole lot of new sightings regarding the Chicago Mothman. And when we return from the break, I want to get into that. I want to make sure that, we got some time to go into full detail, because if anybody is passionate and knowledgeable about this Chicago Mothman sightings that are going on, it's you. And then when we come back from the break at the top of the hour, these weird alien reports you've been getting too. I want to get into that as well, Lon, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Wonderful. Wonderful. He's a man of many words, Lon Strickler, one of the baddest beards in cryptozoology. He's from the beautiful state of Pennsylvania. You can check out all of his work and his stories and reports at phantomsandmonsters.com. That's where I go to get updated on the latest monster tales and stories and legends that people like you are reporting to him. Phantomsandmonsters.com. You can also find all of Lon's books on Amazon. Spaced Out Radio, Strange Days with Lon Strickler continues right after this. All right, we're clear.
Okay.
That was a fast one.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. What was for dinner tonight?
We grilled some hamburgers. That's about it.
Oh, nice. Nice. That sounds good.
Yeah, it was kind of quiet around here.
I'm going to get my barbecue going. That sounds good. That sounds really good. Homemade hamburgers. Lon is from Pennsylvania. His beard, though, says French Canadian. Don't ask me where that came from. I had a question if you were from U.S. or Canada.
Did live in Canada for 6 months.
Oh, whereabouts?
Hamilton.
Oh, did you become a Tiger Cat fan while you were there?
You know what? I had always watched the Tiger Cats for years, even in the States. And the place I was staying was right across the street from the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
There's a park there, then there's the stadium's right there, too. Yeah.
Old Ivor Wynne Stadium back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, it had it had the AstroTurf and everything on it.
Did their AstroTurf have the bubble in the middle?
I don't know. I know it was a nice stadium, though. It wasn't real big, but it was nice.
I'd never been there. The only other CFL stadium that I've ever been to is Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was at the I went to see Argonauts play one time up in Montreal. I guess that was the Expo, or what do they called that back then?
Olympic Stadium.
Olympic Stadium, yeah. And when we had the CFL team here in Baltimore, when I was living down in Baltimore,
yeah,
we went to a couple games up there. Christ, I went to a game up in Winnipeg. I've never been so damn cold as I was that day.
No kidding, man.
Oh my God, was it cold up there?
Oh yeah. Winnipeg only has 2 seasons: mosquito season and cold.
I know a few people live up there, and they kind of say the same thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a fly swatter will do you no good in Winnipeg. You have to carry around a tennis racket. Literally.
Well, I'll tell you what. I used to go steelhead fishing a lot up in Canada.
Yeah.
Years back in the 70s, or late 70s. And we went up to James Bay. Just on the edge of Algonquin.
Yeah.
And it was in the middle, I think it was the end of July. We had to wear netting. I mean, the mosquitoes were just unbelievable. They were like planes coming in. So, I don't think I've ever seen mosquitoes that big.
You would have loved this river I used to fish, man, called the Vetter River. Just about an hour and a half east of Vancouver.
Oh.
And I'll tell you, Lon, during the hot season, when the salmon started running, I'd be out there 5 to 7 times a week.
Oh, I bet.
And my biggest out of that river was 47 pounds.
Wow.
And I caught that on a 17-pound test line.
What was it, steelhead?
No, spring or Chinook.
Chinook?
Yeah. And I helped a guy a few years ago. One of my it was probably 8 years ago now, 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I helped him land a 62-pounder.
Jeez.
He brought that up on shore, dude, and I jumped on it for him. I jumped on it. I was following the fish in with him to grab the tail and then lift the tail up because it kind of paralyzes the fish.
Yeah.
And then I jumped on it. It was like, holy cow. Big thank you to Phil and Dry Toast for the super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show. High Snakes in a Plane or in a UFO. Indrid Cold, good to have you back where it's warm. And here we go, everyone. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with Strange Days from phantomsandmonsters.com. Lon Strickler is here. We are going to get into his specialty, the Chicago Mothman sightings. You can find all of Lon's books at Amazon.com. Highly recommend it for your cryptid library. Lon, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
All right. You've been gone for 3 months from this show. How's the sightings for these cryptids in Chicago going?
We had a few. I think we probably had 7 or 8 new sightings all around the airport, but more specifically, there's a suburb of the airport named Bensonville, and it's on the southwest edge of the airport, and it's actually about a half a mile from that cargo area on the southwest side where the actual cemetery is, where I talk about all the time, where we've had a lot of sightings. And what we've been getting, and actually it started with a truck driver who was, and all these sightings have been within like a month or a month and a half now. So he was dropping off a man lift piece of equipment that he took from a construction site back to his company's lot. And when he got in the lot, he thought he heard something, and they had some trailers in the back of this lot. And when he started walking back there with a flashlight, he started hearing this clicking, then chirping sound. And he didn't know what the hell he was dealing with. So he started flashing around. And when he looked on top of the trailer, this thing was standing up there, and it was red-eyed. It's the first thing you saw, the red eyes. It was chirping. It had the typical bat wings that most of the sightings have seen, about a 12-foot span. It stood 6 to 7 foot in height, dark in color. Now, most of the other sightings we have talked about have been somewhat emaciated looking. I think this one, from the way he stated, was a bit chunkier than the other ones were, but it's still a pretty good sized being. And he started yelling at it and to get down. He was going to call the cops, this and that, and it eventually took off and flew across the way over across the street. And that same night, I'd say about 6 or 7 blocks later, around the same time, this thing was seen again by a couple who just happened to see it flying over, and they noticed the red eyes on it. So that was the same night we had 2 sightings of the same thing. Then later on, this thing showed up at a man and woman were at the near the Conestoga Elementary School in Bensonville, and they were at night. They were walking through the playground, and they started hearing this chirping sound, and they saw this thing standing on top of the school itself, and they watched it, and it had the red eyes, same description, and jumped off and then took flight So a couple weeks now, this was like a week and a half after the first sightings. So a little bit later, we got another sighting from a man and his daughter in Bensonville. A daytime sighting, and I did send you the images of some type of unidentified aerial phenomena, and it was 3 of them up there, and it was actually, it would have been kind of over the airport at that point, and they took some snapshots of it. But in the photograph, they look oval, but they swore to us that they definitely were winged beings. So there were 3 of them they saw.
I got it up on the screen here.
Right, I see it.
Audience there. So for our radio audience, explain what we're seeing here.
Well, these are the 3. These are 2 of the pictures, and then there's another one too of these supposedly winged beings that were gliding and flying over the southwest section of O'Hare International and part of Bensonville and O'Hare International. And it's unusual for us to get a daytime sighting. So, and then the description of the first witness led to this sketch by Vincent Richardson, who's on our team. And this is how they described this. This is how the witness described the being.
I mean, that seems prototypical of what has been seen since the 1960s. The red eyes, the pointed ears, the arms protruding from the wings, the hawk-like legs and feet. I mean, and standing, what you say, between 6 and 8 feet tall?
6 and 7 foot. I mean, as opposed to the Mount the Point Pleasant sighting, those are more of an insectoid with insectoid-like, moth-like wings with a head that was embedded in the body, basically the upper part of the body, and arms and legs. These sightings, for the most part, have been the membrane wings, like that of a bat or gargoyle, or a lot of these sightings have been very similar in description of like a gargoyle. We've had other descriptions as well. Some have been described as looking more owl-like, with owl-like wings, and sometimes have red eyes, sometimes they don't. And then others we've had described as looking like the Jeepers Creepers creature in the movies. So we've had a bunch of different descriptions, but I'm pretty sure, I'm quite sure we're talking about a series that are different beings. I mean, how many there are altogether, we really don't know. I think it's safe to say we've got at least 10 or so altogether from the very beginning of this phenomenon.
Now, when people are seeing these creatures, how long are they actually seeing them for? Is it a split second? Is it sometimes minutes, extended minutes?
It's usually seconds, very fleeting sightings. The interesting aspect of these sightings is it seems that these beings are visible to specific people. Now, are these people that it's picking out to be seen by, or are some people susceptible to being able to see it? We've had instances where there have been crowds where only 1 or 2 or 3 people see it and others don't. So, I mean, that's another aspect of this that we just really haven't been able to figure out. I think they do have some abilities to change the way they look, maybe cloaking. But we have had, and we've talked about this before, we have had some cursory contact with these beings through our group. They purported to be an interdimensional being, an ultraterrestrial, not an alien or an extraterrestrial. Reside on a linear dimension to our Earth plane. We have several people on our team who have that have psychic abilities, intuitive abilities, that have had contact with these beings. And we're learning a little here and a little there, but as time goes on, and I mean, we keep being promised that we will eventually learn more. I believe we will learn more, but at this point right now, it's, you know, it's like baby steps. And I think we got to be a bit careful about what information we get and put out to the public. When we first started having contact, I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, and I'll admit to that, and started putting more information out there than we should have. And it led to some issues with people trying to make communication or contact these beings and trying to bind them. And that turned out to be a problem. And when that did happen, they backed off a bit. And but we've been in communication with them. They haven't really initiated communication. Our team members have. But you know, I believe it's a real phenomenon. I believe that these beings have actually made contact with our team, and you know, and the proof behind that, I believe, is there have been instances where they've been contacted by the same being while they're in different parts of the country at the same time. And, you know, I find out right away one has had an encounter, has had some type of communication with it, and someone else has had the same thing. So they do have supernatural abilities, and I think they're interdimensional beings. And I'll be honest with you, I think ultraterrestrials is a good name for a lot of the cryptids that we do have. I think, you know how I feel about cryptids in general, that they may very well be interdimensional for the most part. And I believe they are ultraterrestrials.
You know, we also heard during the congressional hearings, Representative Gallagher mentioned ultra-terrestrials, which was the first time as well. I mean, I know Alan Greenfield in his secret site for the UFO Knots has really pushed the ultra-terrestrial phenomena because it does represent every type of ET or UT, whatever you want to call it, that is out there, from those in Earth to those who are on different planes, maybe different dimensions, and so on and so forth. Do you think that is something that these would fall under? Oh, obviously you do, but where do you think they're coming from then as an ultra-terrestrial?
I think they're coming from either a dimension that's close to ours, or if you're talking about some species, aliens-like species, they may very well come from an alternate reality, or from maybe another universe. People talked about the UFO phenomena and equated to extraterrestrials most of the time, and I don't necessarily believe that a majority of the incidents are UFO related or from beings that travel interstellar space to come here. I think a lot of this travel is done through wormholes or some type of passageway, kind of bending light and time. And, I think Einstein was right with the string theory and this possibility of bending time and being able to move between different worlds or different realities or different universes. So I think, and I've said before, I think as we start becoming more mainstream with quantum computing, and it's becoming more and more mainstream, where people are starting to use it and becomes more affordable, I think we're going to start getting more and more answers as well.
Lon, you said something a little bit earlier regarding the fact, and I find this very interesting, regarding the idea that a lot of people will have these sightings, a group aspect, yet a third of the group, half the group, or more will not see a thing. Yet all of a sudden, here we are with people getting sightings. How do you think this is possible?
I don't know. I mean, I can't really give a definitive answer on that. But I believe that they do have the ability to cloak themselves from certain individuals. Or maybe it's something that's built into the human psyche. I mean, you know how kids are. They're open to everything before their minds are corrupted that they're not supposed to see something. But they do see something. Maybe a lot of humans are like that as well, or adults. It's so fantastical that their mind just doesn't register as being an actual being. I believe that's entirely possible.
So do you think then that this creature is maybe calling certain people? Because we see this not only with the Mothman, we see it with UFOs and aliens. We've seen it with Bigfoot. We've seen it with Dogman. I mean, this seems to be a capability that everything, a part of the phenomena, has the ability to do, is call certain people or show certain people, where to you and me, it may be that there is a UFO hovering 200 feet above us, but to the other 8 people who are with us, they're going on their daily lives like nothing's even up there.
Yeah, I think they are discriminate, as far as who gets to see or who gets the experience. Maybe to the humans' chagrin to it, but I think there is. I think they're pretty picky about who they select. Of course, with like alien abductions or alien encounters, there's this theory, and it's kind of panned out where people in one family generationally have these type of encounters. So maybe there's something in their DNA or something in their physical makeup that is of interest to them. So I think it's very possible even with cryptids. And I wouldn't have thought that from the very beginning when we started getting these reports in Chicago. But as time's going on and as people has described what they're seeing, and then other people being around and not noticing what's going on, I think there's something to this.
I want to ask you in regards to, you made another comment that one of the witnesses recently in this entire Mothman saga that's going on actually heard clicking noises or some sort of voice of this creature, sound from this creature. Maybe it was gas, maybe it was actually from its beak. We don't know. I mean, Tell me about this.
Yeah, I mean, this is a new aspect to the phenomena that we hadn't experienced before. Or is this just playful banter or the echolocation or something to that effect? I don't know. When I had my encounter with the Bigfoot back in 81, it was making a clicking sound. And that confused me for a long time until I found out that other people who had encounters with Bigfoot had the same experience. I do believe now that was some type of indication that they were trying to like a nervous tick or something that they made when they just didn't know what they were confronting. Maybe that's what that was. Maybe it's the same thing with these winged beings. Maybe they have some type of nervous tick or something that makes them chirp or click or whatever. I mean, this particular one anyway. So but I believe these sightings in Bentonville, of the 4 sightings we've had or 5 sightings we've had, have been of the same being. Now, as far as the 3 different beings up in the air during the day, I don't know. Nobody heard any clicking or anything from them, but the description that the witnesses gave us was that these were winged beings of some type.
Was it a clicking sound? Was it a more of a bird sounding type of chirping?
Mm-hmm.
What was going on?
Yeah, birds like chirping. Yeah. Yep. They described it. Now, if you know about D-Day and the paratroopers who were dropped behind the lines in D-Day, they used those clickers to communicate with each other. That's how it was described.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is seriously crazy.
Yeah.
Seriously crazy. Now, how rare is this? I mean, have other people who've been witness to this creature heard the sounds, or is this brand new information?
Yeah, this is new. This is something we hadn't heard before. That's why I believe this is a different being that people haven't encountered before, and who's out there now.
So now that you have a new piece of information, how do you run with that? How do you add that to the information that you've already collected?
Well, it's put into the file into part of the characteristics, and we've got a lot of different characteristics that people have experienced with these beings. But let's say we get another sighting, say up in Wisconsin or someplace on the other side of the city, and this thing's chirping, clicking like this thing was. Well, it'll give us an idea that they have been moving around, or well, then again, it could be something, another being, as opposed to the same one. But I do believe we're dealing with different beings. I mean, they're coming from the same place, I'm quite sure, but I'm pretty sure that we're dealing with different ones.
Out of these latest group of sightings, were any of them very close encounters?
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah, the first one, especially with the guy in the backyard of his building, I think, of his work site, when he dropped the equipment off, he said he was within 12 feet of it.
Holy cow!
Yeah,
He must have froze.
yeah, he was freaked out.
Okay, so forgive me. The one that was 12 feet away from him, was it perched up in a tree? Was it on the ground, standing there looking at him, or
it was on top of a trailer? He was standing below, watching it, looking up at it.
I mean, how do you even get the fear that would rush through you? How do you get the energy or the thought process to even move off of something like that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is Manuel Navarrete, who took the report, he talked to him, and he said that he pretty well freaked out because when he walked back there with the flashlight, he kept hearing the sound, but he wasn't sure where it was coming from. Well, because it was pretty dark back there, and he said when he put the flashlight up to the top of the trailer, that's when he saw it. It was right above him. So yeah, he pretty well froze when he saw that, and then he threatened he was going to call the police or whatever, and they had to get out of there, and it took off.
Wow, Lon, I'm going to get you to hold on right there.
Mm-hmm.
And when we come back from the break, alien implants. You got an interesting case on this recently.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I sent it to you today. I actually got it today, so yeah, we'll talk about it.
Absolutely. Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com, as he comes in once a month, joining us for all sorts of monster talk. We love him around here. He's got a great beard, too. Check him out at phantomsandmonsters.com. Thousands upon thousands of reports. Find all of Lon's books on Amazon as well. We'll be back with the second hour of Spaced Out Radio when we return. All right, we are clear. I'm just going to take a quick break here, Lon. I'll be right back. If you want to hang out with the audience,
we'll do.
Because you know how.
Hey, folks, if you do have an encounter, be honest, just contact me. I'll go ahead and my email is Lon Strickler, famsofmonsters.com. So you can send anything you got to that. And look, if you want to talk about it, send me your phone number, or you can call me as well. These winged humanoid sightings. We've kind of gone worldwide with these now. We're asking for worldwide sightings anywhere, and we're trying to put more and more information about these things together. And in fact, I have started, myself and Doug Hychek from the old Monster Quest series have started a production company, and we're in the process of working and scripting some episodes about the Chicago Mothman and the sightings in Chicago, and we plan on including other winged humanoid sightings worldwide as well as a comparison. So this is a project that we've been talking about, working on now for about 6 months, and we just recently did pitched it to some of the networks and stuff, so we can get the funding. And I think we're going to do it. So yeah. So of course, if you do find anything and have any type of encounters, feel free to contact me. Oh, and my channel is Fams of Monsters Radio on YouTube. We have a show every Friday night at 9:00 p.m. Eastern time, and occasionally, well, every other week, we will do I will narrate some of the cases. I call it Fams of Monsters Personal Reports. But if you go to YouTube and search Fams of Monsters Radio, it'll come up. And we also this Wednesday we're having an exclusive chat for members of the channel. So if you want to go there and possibly sign up to be a PM, a Fams of Monsters Insider, it's only $2.99 a month, so that may be something you want to look into as well. We're going to be adding other exclusives and perks down the road, but that might be something some of you would be interested in. Yeah, Philip, it's Fams of Monsters Radio. You get it right.
D.A. Roberts, Thomas Fessler, Philip Blair, the Philip Blair. Howie, welcome to SOR Chat. Let's see here. Oren, welcome to SOR chat. Thomas, thank you so much for that awesome super chat. It's not a man bun, Thomas. It's not a man bun. I'll put it down.
Oh, God.
There you go. It's all down. Okay, we're not man bunning things here. Evan Walters, welcome back, buddy. And we will take some questions in hour number 2 as well, guys. So make sure you put your questions in capital letters. Thank you to Thomas, Dry Toast, and Philip Blair, or pardon me, Phil Minervino, for the amazing super chats. Happy birthday, Phil Minervino. Really appreciate it. Gordium, welcome back. It's not a soccer bun. Disgusting. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us tonight, Clam? Lapacious. Lapacious is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Strange Days with Lon Strickler. Lon comes in once a month to tell us all about the monsters that people are finding among them. And you can find all of Lon's books at Amazon.com, which we really do appreciate Lon sharing those with us because you need them for your library. His website, where you can read tens of thousands of reports, is phantomsandmonsters.com. Now, Lon, we're going to get into a very, very sticky subject with a lot of people here, and that is alien implants. You recently got a report on this.
Yeah, I got this report today, and I sent it right over to you, so I figured you want to use it tonight. This was an incident where an Indiana man was camping during a fishing trip up in Ontario, Nipigon, Ontario. And one night during that camping, while he was camping, he was sleeping in his tent. He's woken by 2 grays and a sharp pain near his neck. And the next morning when he woke up, there was blood on his shirt and his sleeping bag. So I'll go ahead and send the account that was sent to me. It was sent by a friend of his. So this guy states, in 2016, a friend, RR, had something bizarre happen to him while camping at the Stillwater Tent and Trailer Park to the west of Nipigon, Ontario, in the Thunder Bay area. He woke up in the middle of the night to what he said were 2 grays. He couldn't move or scream, and the last thing he remembered was a sharp pain just above the clavicle next to his neck. When he came out of the tent in the morning, one of the fishing companions was alarmed at the blood, which was on his T-shirt on his shoulder. When they inspected his sleeping bag, they found more blood. So they immediately transported him to a provincial hospital, where one of the doctors said that something had punctured his skin and went alongside the muscle at least 2.5 centimeters. The hole was about 2 millimeters and scabbed over. And an x-ray showed something the size of a 1206 surface mount resistor at the bottom of the puncture. He elected to wait and have it removed back in the States. So it took 2 days to get back to Indiana, and then another day for him to see the doctors, which confirmed the object was there. So they decided to have it removed 2 days later as an outpatient procedure at Parkview Hospital in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Now, on the morning of the procedure, he woke to find more blood on his sheets and pillow and went in for the 10:45 a.m. appointment. When the doctor did a scan to confirm the location of this object for removal, it was no longer there. It was in tissue at a location where it could not have moved by itself. And the doctor noted that the penetration into the body showed trauma, as if something had been put in him again, which disturbed the tissue, which was in the process of healing. Yet the skin penetration at the surface showed recent scarring, which would, expect from a wound that was 3 months old. So it did heal up very quickly and then left a scar just in a matter of days. So R now sleeps with the proximity alarm and an IR alarm, which has gone off once since the event. And since then, he now sleeps with a Smith & Wesson 40 caliber pistol in his nightstand. Since 2016, he's never had another problem. But in 2017, he had a full scan of his upper torso, which confirmed no foreign material in his body. And ever since that event, he will only go fishing with the guys if they all stay in the same tent together. So he's kind of freaked out by this thing, which is understandable. And,
Very much.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. You don't get a lot of implant accounts. I haven't had any in a long time, and I was kind of surprised to get that today.
I got to ask you regarding alien implants. I mean, they must have known or been tracking him or something, and I always wonder if these implants are some sort of tracking device that can even, understand our language. If they can come in and remove it or move it to a different area of the body before surgery. That is just incredible.
Yeah, I think it is probably some either tracking or some type of monitor sensor they use for, the body itself, or I don't know. It could be a myriad of things, but it's pretty creepy if you ask me. I mean, most of the times when when you see supposed implants, they kind of do look like a radio resistor or something. That's in small electronics. I don't, of course, we don't know the technology behind it. But I have known people and talked to people who have had implants in them that felt something hard inside under the skin. And many times these things move around. So, yeah.
Are you implanted?
No, I hope not. I've never found anything, but that doesn't mean anything.
Ever tell you the time I woke up on the table?
Oh, did you?
Yeah. September 30th, 2014. I woke up on the table, man.
Wow. Right in the middle of everything?
I woke up, this true story, okay? It goes back 5 months previous to this, where when Samantha Mowat and I had our encounter in the forest with the extraterrestrial beings.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out of there, and what's funny about this, Lon, is Samantha does not remember this part of the conversation, yet to me, it is clear as day.
Mm-hmm.
And when we came out of that conversation, she said to me, "Have you ever been taken?" And I said, no. She goes, not that you know of. I said, well, I don't think I ever have. And she goes, well, now that you've had this experience, there's a good chance that you will be. And then she goes, don't worry about it. It doesn't hurt. Just let them do their thing. They'll get you back as soon as possible. So on September 30th, I go to bed as normal as possible. And next thing I know, I wake up to the feeling of children's fingers running through the top of my head, and it tickled me. And I wake up, and I could feel that I'm on something metal. And my face was in, like, you go for a massage, your face goes into one of those donuts. Okay. And I picked my head up. I looked to the right, and it's dark over there, but I could tell that there was light coming from the left side. So I turned my head to the right, and I saw 3 little 3.5 foot, 4 foot gray dudes. And I remember saying, holy cow, I've been taken. Right? So I put my head back down, and the one guy, I could feel him over by my left shoulder, and he was kind of rummaging through my hair again. And that's where I felt the cut, like a scalpel's knife. And I remember thinking, oh, geez, Samantha said it wasn't going to hurt. That didn't feel very good. But what happened next, Lon, was he started pulling my skin over, like upward, like over the top of my head. And then I felt the second guy come in by my side, and there was a third guy there. I don't know where the hell he was, but I heard the drill. And then I felt the cutting. And I started screaming. And all of a sudden, Samantha's voice pops into my head. And she says, don't worry, Dave, it doesn't hurt. Remember? It doesn't hurt. It's all in your head. Right? Like literally, it's in my head right now. This first guy, he's pulling down. The second guy, once they stopped cutting, it felt like he was trying to get his fingers into my skull and pull up on my skull. And all of a sudden, everything started to tickle. And but here's the funny part. And when I tell this story, Lorian Fenton, who's a longtime abductee and abductee supporter, she always says, Dave, I know your story is real because no one ever admits to this type of stuff. Lon, I had to urinate like I've never had to urinate before. And I started in my little donut area here while they're working on me, trying to jam something into my head. I start yelling at them, guys, you better hurry up. I'm going to pee all over your table. I am going to pee. I got to piss like a racehorse, and I am going to pee all over your table if you don't hurry up and get me back. Hurry up. I don't want to pee. I swear to God, I'm going to pee on this table. And I could feel them getting anxious, rambunctious. Next thing I know, I wake up. I'm lying on top of my covers, which I never do. And I'm lying on my stomach face down into my pillow, which is something I never do either. Okay? My head is like pounding, like the worst migraine headache that I've ever had. And I grabbed the back of my head and I ran to the bathroom. And God is my witness, man. To this day, it's still the best pee I've ever taken. I must have stood there for about 3-4 minutes, just standing there, and it was incredible. But no, that I laugh about it and I make fun about it, but that's seriously what happened. And so every time I tell that story, the back of my head actually starts to pulsate.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard that from other abductees. They got to run to the bathroom as soon as they realize they're back or whatever. Yeah, so I don't know what the hell they do to you. I had an abduction I was abducted in December 2015, and it was it was nothing done to me. I was just shown a lot of different things, and in this case, those that have gotten me, and have come into my residence, are three very tall gray alien-like beings, but they're tall, very tall, and maybe 7 to 8 foot. And that's happened to me. I believe I know of one instance where I was definitely taken, but there are two others that I am just I just don't remember it. And maybe one day I will remember some of what happened. But I do believe that I was taken those two other times as well. So, but no, I can't say that I've had anything done to me. But yeah. And I think, I think a lot of people have had encounters like that have no idea they have. Honestly, I really do believe that. I think there's many more people that have had it, that have had these type of encounters or incidents, experiences, and they just don't realize it ever happened to them.
I would 100% agree.
Yeah.
I actually one of my favorite stories, Lon, of being taken was I was talking to a friend of mine in North Carolina. I knew I was in a dream state because it was February here. It was cold as hell, but in this dream state, it was springtime, and I was wearing a particular T-shirt and a pair of shorts, and I was outside on my driveway by my patio, not my patio, my carport, and I looked up over to the left, and there was a disc there. That disc started coming right towards my house.
Mm.
I remember I dropped my phone, and this is how stupid I know it was a dream at this point. I drop my phone, I pick up my phone upside down and backwards, and I'm trying to talk to my buddy saying, there's a UFO here. I got to get inside. I don't want to be taken today. And as I'm walking towards my carport, I realize that I'm starting to walk up invisible stairs towards the craft. All of a sudden, I'm even with my patio above my carport. Then I'm even with my roof. And I'm yelling at these guys. I told you I didn't want to go today. I told you I didn't want to go today. Next thing I know, Lon, I wake up 3 feet above my bed. And I fell into bed. My arms flailed. My one arm smacks my partner across her back. And she wakes up and she's like, what the Sam hell are you doing? And I said, I just got back. And she's like, what? I said, yeah, I was like just 3 feet in the air and got dropped into bed. Yeah. So I know I've been taken 7, 8 times that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few weeks ago, my partner, she actually asked me, she goes, how did you sleep? I'm like, oh, well, not too bad. And she goes, I think you were taken last night. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, I swear I woke up and you weren't there.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But the weirdest one, let me tell you the weirdest one, Lon.
Mm-hmm.
So I have, and I like to call them dreams, okay, because I really don't know. And I realize this is taking a whole different angle here, so I do apologize.
All right.
But Dr. Bob McGuire is in my dream. And a couple other people from the UFO community are in this dream. And it's real dark and dreary, and we're at this dark and dreary hotel for some sort of UFO conference. And all of a sudden, there's a couple of grays chasing Bob and I around. And we're dodging them and wherever, we're taking off. And it was just weird. Okay, I could explain the whole thing, but it would take forever. I wake up the next morning, man, and it feels like I haven't slept a wink. My entire body is killing me. My neck is sore. Every joint of my body is sore, and I just cannot move. I'm so sore. And even a hot shower wasn't even me out. So I know Bob was there. So I call up Bob in the morning as I'm getting ready for leaving for work. I call up Science Bob every morning. And I say, hey, Bob, I said, how'd you sleep last night? He goes, I was tossing and turning all night. He goes, in fact, my wife, Sharon, got up in the middle of the night because she swore she heard some people walking around downstairs. And I said, well, I don't know if this is true or not, but you and I may have been taken together.
Mm.
And he goes, so I tell him the entire story. And him being a scientist, I get a, interesting, right?
Yeah.
So a few hours later, Bob's thinking about this. He's stewing about it. He goes and checks his Fitbit, Lon. His Fitbit has him walking around for 90 minutes. Where? Don't know. He has no recall, but his Fitbit has him walking around awake for 90 minutes.
Wow.
And Jonathan Davies, who is in our chat room tonight, him and I, we were talking about this, and he actually went and put on Twitter one time about for people who've been abducted, finding out if they have Fitbits. And I personally have heard from about 3 others. I think Jonathan's heard from about 7 or 8 people regarding this. And I think the Fitbits are the way to start really looking into alien abduction.
That's a good idea. I didn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
All because of Science Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, we're always looking at ways of monitoring it, and finding out what really happens. We know so little about it. So,
well, what do you think? As we got about a minute here to go before we go to break, what do you think the purpose of the implantation is?
Well, the implantation, I have really no idea. I don't even know if I want to even speculate. But I think abductions in general have to do with something that we have that they don't. In particular, I believe they're very interested in the human species, which they very well may have been a part of at one point. Maybe they were evolutionized or they're evolved humans. But it seems that they're intrigued from people who I have experiences I've talked to, that they're intrigued with with humans having a soul or having a life force and believing that they ascend to another level when they pass, and they don't have that. That's not part of what they are. And I think maybe that's the reason for hybridization, to try to engineer that into a hybrid, to have that possible, have some type of life force in them. But I think that is one aspect as to what may be going on with abductions.
Lon Strickler and Strange Days continues on Spaced Out Radio when we get back on Mighty SOR, wherever you want to go and wherever we want to go. Venomsmonsters.com is his website. We'll be back right after this. Sorry for hijacking you there for a second.
It's all right.
Nicole wants to know what your opinion is on physical abduction versus consciousness abduction.
Yeah, you want me to give it now, or you want me to give it later?
Whatever.
Well, I believe there is a physical abduction scenario, and there is an ethereal or consciousness abduction too. And the reason I say that is I have witnessed it. To be honest with you, I had a woman who was losing her pregnancies at the end of every trimester. It happened several times to her, and we eventually set up and she was telling me she was being abducted, and that her boyfriend, the dog, would be completely knocked out. They never sense it. And we eventually set up a video camera, and we actually taped her, recorded her being lifted off the bed, the body being lifted off the bed for a matter of seconds and slowly raised back down on the bed. And she mentioned that she felt the abduction, and it was pretty obvious that her body didn't go anywhere. It was probably an ethereal abduction. And I think a lot of abductions are like that.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yep. Yeah, I was stunned. Yeah, I was stunned when it happened. And she was too. And she, at that point, would not let me keep the video, and she has it, but she still has it, and I'm still, I still communicate with her.
Is she a lifelong contactee?
She has been, well, she may have been when she was younger, but I know of her being a contactee between the ages of 18 and she's 26 now. But I know 3 pregnancies she lost right at the end of the first trimester. Yeah. And that's been verified by doctors as well. And they can't explain it. Their explanation is, oh, well, the body, something happened with the body. They rejected the fetus and it absorbed into the body, and, that bullshit, so. That's the only thing they could come up with.
Incredible.
Yeah. No, I have become more convinced that ethereal or consciousness abduction is a reality.
It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I know from me, I don't know if I would call it a consciousness abduction or a spiritual abduction. I'm not sure if there's a difference between the two or not.
No, I think it's probably the same.
But I mean, I got tired of it. I can't remember the last time, and I'm kind of, I'm to the point now where I'm kind of bored of it. It's kind of like, you know what, if you're going to take me, I'm more than willing to go wide awake.
Mm-hmm.
Park the damn ship in the backyard, ring your little bell like an ice cream truck, okay? And I'm going to come running out with my $5, and I'm going to be yelling ice cream, and let's go for a ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, enough of this bullshit here.
Oh, my God. I don't know if you'd be surprised or not, but I get a lot of people who comment to me that they would like to experience an abduction at some point. And I just think, you are crazy. You are absolutely crazy. So, I mean, I my experiences have been okay. I mean, I haven't had any ill effects or anything that I know of from it. But quite frankly, I don't particularly look forward to something like that happening.
Right. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. I got to go find a playlist here because apparently there's something I missed from a show a year ago. I'll find it. Here we go. We got about 7 seconds. Thank you, Horror Realm, Philip, Thomas, Dry Toast, and Phil for the super chats. Here we go. Past the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Lon Strickler. We have him until the top of the hour. He's from phantomsandmonsters.com, and we want to say hello to him as he comes on in for Strange Days once a month here on the mighty SOR, and we're glad to have him here. And we really appreciate the time you take for us. You can find all of Lon's books on Amazon.com, so make sure you check that on out. And Lon, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate it.
I love being on here.
We were talking alien implants right before the break.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's a big debate whether they're consciousness, whether they're physical, whether they are, how can we look at it here? Ethereal, spiritual. I mean, there's a lot going on here with all of this. I mean, you've interviewed a number of people over the years regarding this. So I'm curious. I mean, what is your take on why the ETs are doing this?
Well, like I said before, I think, I think they're a bit jealous of us for a number of reasons. But I think the fact that we believe we have a soul or we have a life force that ascends after we pass when the physical body dies. And I don't think that's a concept that they know of, but I think they're jealous of it. And I've had several experiencers tell me that that it's either been something that's been communicated with them or told to them somehow. But I think that's a big factor in this. Now, of course, they may have other agendas, and right now I really wouldn't know what that would be. But I think this whole thing about being more human as opposed to them possibly being evolved humans or losing out on something that we have now may be a factor behind why they do abduct us.
Do you think it is so that way they can, keep tabs on us, much like we would put a tracking device around a lion's head or a tag on a great white shark?
It could be. But, when you're talking about tracking people, we're not going anywhere. We're going to be on the earth. So, I don't know why they'd be tracking us. They shouldn't have any problem finding us. I think it is a monitor of some type, but I don't know exactly what it is. Is it a physical monitor for, keeping tabs on us physically or mentally or, our activities? That may very well be, but I really don't know what it's for.
Of all the alien abduction stories that you have heard over the years through phantomsandmonsters.com, is there one or two that stick out with you that you just shake your head?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've told this before, but I mean to you, but there was an abductee, or there was a woman by the name of Mandy who lived out in Eastern Washington, and this is in the beginning of my book, Alien Disclosure. She had contacted me. She was actually living with her mother. They were living in a home where she grew up at, and they they were at home one night after having a late dinner. They were cleaning the dishes, and they noticed out the window. It was about 8 o'clock at night. They noticed out the window that there was a lot of white and red orbs floating all about out in the backyard, and they every once in a while they would hear a popping sound. So the young woman's name was Mandy. She was actually a school teacher, and she went out in the back porch, and she was watching these things out in the yard, just running into each other and making popping sounds. She said there were thousands of them. So she said she ran through the house, went to the living room, and looked out the bay window, and out in the front yard and across the road into the field, there was thousands and thousands of these red and white orbs. So they went to try to use the telephone, and the telephone went dead. They were going to call the police or whatever. They didn't know what the hell was going on. It lasted for a bit, then it ended. They were all gone, and the phone came back on. So, I mean, they decided then, well, what's the point of even calling now? So later that night, they were up in their bedrooms, and Mandy was downstairs. She came upstairs. She went through the hallway, and she checked in on her mother. She was sleeping in her room. So she went into her bedroom, and she started hearing noises out in the roof, up on the roof, up in the attic, like footsteps and something crawling around up there. She looked out the window, and the orbs were back again. And by this time, they were loud enough that it woke her mother up. Her mother came running into Mandy's bedroom. And they literally sat there in fear for about an hour, wondering what was up in the attic, what was crawling on the roof, and whatever. Then it just suddenly stopped again. So that's when they contacted me. They actually got a hold of an investigator in Spokane, Washington, who recommended give me a call. So a couple of days later, they called me, and they were still experiencing very similar activity, to a lesser degree again. And they just couldn't understand what was going on. So, I was on the phone with them for, I guess about 3 hours. And they were telling me everything that was going on. And I really thought that this was something that was going to progress. I didn't like what I was hearing. So, but I didn't tell them anything. I didn't want to frighten them. I didn't, the only thing I told them is, well, look, do me a favor. Give me a call tomorrow morning. Let me know if anything happened tonight. And, we'll go from there. They said, fine. So the next day I didn't get a phone call. And in fact, it was several days before I did get a phone call from Mandy's mother. And she apologized for not, but I could tell she was distressed. She apologized for not calling me. And I asked her, well, what's wrong? She said, Mandy's missing.
Oh, my.
And then she told me what had happened, that that night, Mandy had gone up to bed, and her mother was sitting in the living room watching TV. And then she walked upstairs, and she saw that the light was on. Mandy's door was closed, but there was a light underneath the door. and then it went out. So she opened the door slightly. She knocked on it, didn't get an answer. And then she opened the door slightly and flicked the light on, and Mandy wasn't anywhere to be found. Her bathroom was there by the bedroom. She was nowhere. And her mother started freaking out. And she went running all through the house, outside and everything, yelling for Mandy. She couldn't find her. So she called the police. Now, of course, Mandy is an adult. The cops are saying, well, maybe she ran off. But her effects were all there, you know, wallet and pocketbook. The car was still there. Cops said, well, maybe she ran off with a boyfriend or, you know, something like that, like they normally do. But, you know, she's free will. I mean, you know, maybe you can file a missing report after a couple of days, but, you know, but her mother knew something was wrong. So, yeah, so that's what happened. And that's about 11 years now. And
is she still gone?
She's still missing. I have checked with the Washington State Police on several occasions. The last time was about a year or so ago. And yeah, her file's still an open file, and she's never turned up anywhere. None of the credit cards ever been used. No, you know, Social Security's never been used or anything. So I seriously believe she was abducted and taken and not brought back.
One of the 65,000 Americans a year.
Yeah, well, yeah. You know, I think of those missing people, there very well could be some that were abducted and never returned. But I tell you, I'd be honest, I almost quit investigating after that happened. I felt guilty about it for not saying, though. What was I going to do? You know, I did. I felt bad about it. Because, you know, and I think about it and I think, well, what could I have done to stop something like that? I couldn't have done anything. But I did have a bad feeling about it.
Now, when you say you had a bad feeling about it,
Yeah.
You obviously did not think that it would end up like this, though.
No, I didn't. You know, I had never been involved with a case or even heard of a case where somebody had been supposedly abducted and never returned. I've had a lot of cases where people had said they've been abducted and returned, but nothing like that. So when it did happen, I felt bad about it. I really did. I don't know why that was, but I did. I felt bad about it. I still feel bad about it sometimes. But, you know, and I've talked to people about it. You know, it's like, well, they tell you, what could you have done? You could have warned her, but, you know, was she going to have a tinfoil hat on or something? I mean, you know. So, yeah.
Oh, that's just really sad.
Yeah.
Really sad regarding that. I mean, does her mother believe that she was taken by aliens?
She did. She passed away since then. But she did. She said she believes that the incidents had something to do with her being missing. So put two and two together. That's what you got.
Right. Do you think there's a chance that maybe one day she may show up?
Well, I think it's possible. I mean, I think it's possible. Who knows? Will we ever know? I don't know. You know, I've heard of stranger things, but I don't know of any actual case. Of course, you see a lot of things like that on TV, but I don't know if there's an actual case of someone being missing for an extended period of time, then showing back up. I don't know. I'm not saying it wouldn't happen, but I don't know of any myself.
Do you think then that there are certain species that are just taking people without any plan of returning them?
Yeah, I do. I do. When I got involved with David Eckhart and his abduction scenarios and saga with him and his family, these were reptilian beings that were actually taking him, though there were Greys working with them. And this is early on. This is 15 years ago. He described being taken and going into an area where he actually witnessed human experimentation and humans dying from the experimentation and being disposed of. So, if you take him at his word, and I think David's a trustworthy individual, then maybe there is something to that.
Sticking with UFOs and aliens, I mean, do you get a lot of reports from people seeing extraterrestrials? If so, are they just seeing the Greys? Are they seeing other species and reporting in?
I don't get as much as I used to, which maybe seems a little bizarre. But most of the sightings are Greys. Most of the experiences are Greys. And occasionally there's a reptilian-like being or an insectoid involved. But most of the scenarios now are of multiple beings working together. I'm talking like 4, 5, 6 different types of races or species of beings that work together. They seem to be conglomerations that work together now, as opposed to just one species. Even humans. I have had encounters, reports to me, where there have been Greys and other beings and humans involved with an abduction or just a close encounter. So I think I think, and of course that may actually evolve later on, but that seems to be in the past maybe 15 years or so. That seems to be the scenario that's being reported to me, of multiple types of beings working together in this type of these type of incidents.
Do you think that the government knows or has a list of the people who've been taken and vanished, maybe not from the reports or calls in of missing people, but from maybe other sources?
It's hard for me to believe that there isn't some type of cooperation to some degree between them and the government. There's a lot of speculation about like Dulce Base and this and that, deep underground, bases and such. I don't know to what extent that is. I've read a lot of things over all these years, and I don't know what to believe. But I think at this point now, there's got to be some knowledge between the factions. I mean, between these humans who are the powers that be and these aliens. I think there is some type of cooperation, and I think there is some toleration as well.
We've got about 5 minutes to go here with you tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Lon Strickler is our guest from phantomsandmonsters.com, as he comes in once a month for Strange Days. I would love to know, Lon, what other, we've talked about Mothman, we've talked about aliens, we've talked about a number of things tonight. What other reports have you been receiving recently that have interested you?
Now, we've been getting a lot of the canine cryptid reports. It figures Butch passes away, and then we're getting your reports coming in. We've had several that I know he would have loved to look into, but we have gotten a few, and we've been busy working on those. I can't say that we had anything's been resolved, but we have gotten several reports, and especially here in Pennsylvania. I've got 2 or 3 in Pennsylvania that we're looking into now.
Any strange, weird cryptids?
Huh?
Any weird, strange cryptids?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff out there. I'd say if you want to consider them cryptids, the pale crawler humanoids, which I wrote a book about, we occasionally get those yet too. That's a strange phenomena that seems to be inundating a lot of the cryptid world now. But there's a lot of explanation still to be had with those. We really don't know what they are. Are they are they a new type of being? Are they some type of thought form manifestation? I mean, what are they? I mean, people talk about look like the Slender Man. You know, what is that? What was that? Was that some type of thought form? You know, some people believe they're real. Some people don't know what to think about them. But these crawler reports, these other strange humanoid sightings, we've been getting a lot of those, and a lot of different scenarios with those, and they're not always white. They're different colors, browns or other oranges of color and such. So yeah, I mean, it's just another type of entity that we've got to deal with, and I'm quite sure there are going to be more down the road.
It never seems to change, does it?
No.
It never seems to change. It never seems to just be weird. You know, I mean, it you've heard enough weirdness where it's become normal, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by much anymore. You know, maybe I should be, but I'm not. You know, 20 years ago, if I'd have heard somebody come right out and tell me some of the stuff that people are reporting now, I'd have thought they were crazy. But no, it's kind of commonplace now. It's not that I think people are telling stories or imagining what they're seeing. I think they are having real encounters. But, you know, I just believe that, you know, cryptids are something we're going to be dealing with for a long time. And why they exist is that's left to be determined. But I don't think there's any end to it.
Damn. What do you got coming up on phantomsandmonsters.com, your podcast, or any new books you're writing?
Well, I'm not working on a book right now. I think the next book will probably be a third Chicago Mothman book describing the airport sightings from the beginning until whenever, and it's going to continue till then. I got people trying to get me to do a Dogman Upright Canine book, especially for Pennsylvania. So I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But the Phantoms and Monsters Radio we rebranded Arcane Radio to Phantoms and Monsters Radio. We've been doing really well with it. It's getting there. It's coming along. Thanks to you, because you've given me a lot of hints about what to put up there, and I appreciate that. But no, it's we've gotten some good guests. We've gotten some good response. We're expanding into narration, live narration now, and you know, are doing a lot more roundtable discussions, which people seem to like. So yeah, I mean, we're going to keep at it, and we're going to keep trying to improve it. As far as Phantoms and Monsters go, we're in our 17th year. And as far as I know, hopefully, knock on wood, it's going to keep going.
Well, well-deserved, my friend. Well-deserved. And, you know, we love you around here. We will talk to you next month as you embark on another journey heading into the summer. Lon Strickler, everybody. Monster hunter extraordinaire. His beard from Quebec. At phantomsandmonsters.com is his website. We'll be back with Swamp Dweller and the fedora-wearing John Hudson next on Spaced Out Radio. All right, boss, we're clear. Great show.
Always fun.
Great show. Thank you so much for the love, man.
Yep. Anytime, Dave.
All right, brother.
I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you next month.
Okay, you take care.
Bye-bye. Lon Strickler, everyone. We love him. I'll be right back. Now that you got my messy hair, thanks to Fessler. Ember's Paraworld, how you doing? Good to see you. We got about a minute to go here. Swear to God, I'm going to get my hair cut soon. Driving me nuts. King of Waco Mondo, how's it going? Sensational Shelley, welcome back. Gorgeous Pam Smith, thanks for coming on in. Anybody else jump in here? If there is a meteor shower tonight, I can't see it. It's all clouded over. Major Lee, how you doing? Noble Patrick, good to see you. Thank you to Doug Shelby, Horror Realm, Philip, Thomas, Dry Toast, and Phil for the super chats. And remember, you can get all your SOR swag at our website, spacedoutradio.com. Just click on the store button. Wallet Moth, how you doing? Here we go, everyone, hour 3.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, KPNL, and TalkStream Live. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Lapacious. Lapacious is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again where we head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller brings us another spooky story.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp.
I am a 12-year-old male, and for the last 9 months, I have been told about some weird experiences, from a man communicating with animals, to weird coincidences that kind of coincide. It all began with a Boy Scout camp into the Gold Coast hinterland, Australia, in October. We were orienteering, and as we walked with our dogs, we began to hear this crunching, as if we were being followed. We just brushed it off, that maybe it was just dogs. We sat down for a break, and I looked around and saw a man hunched behind a tree 10 meters away. I showed the adults and scouts when suddenly the dogs ran over and sat next to him. We ran away, and that was the end of that. The second encounter wasn't until April this year. It was in Tasmania. I was alone walking along in a rainforest gully when I heard a loud thump and then the leaves rustling next to me. I looked over, and I didn't see anything there. So I started to speed walk, and as I did, the leaves continued to rustle. Something was definitely following me. I kept looking over my shoulder, but nothing was there. I started to run faster, and now, as I did that, the leaves began rustling even more quickly. Whatever was out there was chasing me. I kept looking back and saw a dark figure in the forest behind me. I stopped and yelled for my parents. I could hear them screaming my name, but they were somehow above me, and I was in a gully. How had I gotten off track? The latest incident happened a few weeks ago. I was sitting in my room, with the window closed, and heard my name being called. I didn't think anything of it at first, until it became apparent that it was a woman's voice screaming bloody murder in my name. Is it just stalkers or some kind of cryptid? Please help me. Hey, you can just call me by the name I put as my alias. Anyways, let's begin. I was out with my mom, and we were hiking on a trail. We found a landmark, and my mom wanted to show me another one. Keep in mind, I was 9 years old at the time. I saw a lot of scary things, a lot of paranormal things, but this honestly took the cake. Anyway, we had been hiking since 10 a.m., and we got lost until we got picked up by a policeman around 9 p.m. Prior to that, at around maybe 6 or 7 p.m., I saw something in the bushes. A deer, I thought, but then I remembered deer nor elk live in Hawaii. I grew scared because 9-year-old me is a wimp. The next thing I know, me and my mom are walking again because we're lost. Yes, lost. We followed signs saying this way to get out, but the more we followed the signs, the more lost we got. My mom and I stopped trying to get our bearings and trying to figure out where we are. That's when I hear a crunching sound like bones breaking or big sticks being broken. My mom and I walked away, and then maybe another half-mile away, I hear a terrifying shriek come from the spot we were in. 10 to 15 minutes later, I see something behind my mom. A large, terrifying creature. It was on all fours, and it had this rotting smell to it. It was skinny and wrinkled, and it had small patches of fur on it, like it was mangy. Also, it looked as if it hasn't eaten in months, and looked to be at least 6 foot tall, when on all fours. I'm guessing it was about 8 to 9 feet when it stood up. I started stuttering, when whispering to my mom, saying, There's something behind you. She told me not to look at it, and was probably my imagination because she also knew I was scared of the dark. Naturally, I continued to look, and the next thing I know, the ugly creature looks our way. It had a skull-like face, and there were black holes where the eyes were supposed to be. It also had cuts in the skull for a nose. It looked sort of like a cow or a bull skull. The thing that also caught my eye was it had deer-like antlers, and its feet were sort of like hooves. I couldn't see that clearly because it was dark, and my flashlight went out, and my mom was saving her battery on her phone for help. This thing looked as if it was about to shriek when the policeman came, and then it ran off. It left hoofprints on the ground, and I was being escorted to safety when I saw it again. I screamed bloody murder, and the police turned to look at me. I explained to them what I saw. One of them, an older policeman, said, "Wendigo," and said that a cannibal wandered into the forest and has never returned. Pretty creepy. Not sure if we have those kind of things in Hawaii, but if any of you might know what it could be, please comment down below.
Oh, we love the swamp dweller around here as he freaks us out each and every night, bringing us on into his spooky tales that he gets from thousands of people just like you. You could go to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller Reads, at youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads, and you can hit subscribe on his channel. Well, it's time once again where we warm up the fedora, bring in John Hudson for the UFO report. Here we go.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
All right, it's been a busy few days in the UFO world, and we bring in the fedora-wearing John Hudson to come on in as his chin hair is on par with high-quality UFO news. John, welcome back.
Thank you, Dave. How are you doing today?
I am doing great, and I'm going to be honest with you. Every day we get a little bit closer to mosquito season, and it's a little bit bothersome for me. It goes wet spring, mosquito season, fire season, back to mosquito season, winter.
But I have good news for you. Soon the insects are going away. It's already happened where I live. So basically, you know how you used to drive on the freeway and get all that bug goo all over your car? It doesn't happen anymore. Not enough bugs for it to happen. Kind of nice.
That's bad for the environment,
It actually resulted in lower washing costs for transit vehicles.
Well, that's
measurably lower washing costs in transit vehicles.
All right. Lots of news happening around, from NASA to more UFO hearings to scientists should be involved in hearings. It's now irresponsible to not talk about UFOs, and so much going on right now. Where do you want to start?
That's the problem. Is that, I mean, right now there really is this incredible buffet to choose from. But what I started getting very frustrated by it, and I decided I just want to pick out a couple things that just hit me. Just hit me emotionally in some way. And so and I also it's hard, like, because you could spend hours talking about the hearing. You could spend a bunch of time talking about the video that came out on Friday. There's all these other things that are going on. There's the nearly guaranteed coming of additional hearings because the Senate won't let the House do anything well and then not try to duplicate it, and neither will the House. So we know that's going to happen. And so things are a little chaotic right now. But the thing was that hearing had some very challenging aspects of it. And one of them I wanted to talk about is, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with this, but there used to be this wonderful document online that I should look up, see if it's still there, called Weasel Words. And this document was, I believe it was written by Wikipedia, or maybe it was Google, I don't remember, it was one of those places. And it was an example of all the words that people use in trying to persuade people of things that you should go big red light. Don't listen to this person, sort of a thing, right? Things like, for example, being shown a graph with no axis or identification at all, no values of any sort, just bars, right? Like, I love those. Some guy did it the other day on YouTube. I was dying laughing. But one thing that happened is in the back and forth, there was a specific word that started appearing, and the thing is that the different circles of government have working vocabularies that they work with inside and outside, right? And those vocabularies also evolve, like everything else evolves, right? And so new words get introduced into their vocabulary that will then get tried out in public. And if they work, they'll be used again. And if they don't work, they'll be brought back and maintained internally. And it's not a terribly conscious thing. It's a social beast thing, right? But the thing is that when someone starts adding a qualifier to a descriptor, when they start adding an additional conditional, right? And in this case, the conditional was contractual, right? And the idea was that he was being asked about, whether we had any programs, whether we had any materials. Basically, every question that came down to, did the U.S. have anything in its possession? Many of his answers would come back with, I know of no contractual organization that did that kind of work, right? And he started throwing this. That is not a common word, at least in the public decorum. And so what that means is that that's an engineered word. It means something very particular. It has a specific goal and specific purpose, and it has a definition that he has for it that may not be the same definition that we have for it. And so it introduces a lot of obscurity. It's just not pleasant, and it's certainly interesting to talk about, but I don't like it because it implies deceitfulness, I guess, or at least evasiveness.
Okay.
Because, let me give you an example, right? DARPA, right? DARPA only has about 124 actual employees, okay? Basically, the 100, director, program manager, whatever you want to call them, they basically own the project, and everything in the project is completely contracted or some sort of an outside contract. There are no no permanent employees except for those 124. And 100 of them rotate fixed every 6 years. So there's really like 24 people that kind of, stick on. And so in their case, if you start asking them questions, well, what considers contractual work? Is work that was done through this one DARPA program where everyone on there was contractors? Is that considered contractual work, even though there wasn't an actual contract written for that specific work? Or does it have to be a specific contract that actually covers the scope of the work that was actually executed by the party? I mean, you can start getting into some horrible nuances here, and it's just not pleasant.
Okay, so what does this have to do with UFOs?
Well, this was essentially how one of the ways oh man, now I've forgotten his name. This is one of the ways that our lovely government representative was basically getting out of telling the truth during the UFO hearings. So what this is a blatant example of a very, very active, very, very simple obfuscation technique that they were clearly using in the hearing on TV.
So you don't think it has anything to do with the fact that these gentlemen who were up there speaking, Bray and what was the other gentleman's name? Oh, it's on the top of my head. Moultrie. You don't think that they were, it had anything to do with the fact that they were just appointed their position about a week and a half beforehand?
Well, even still, you don't bring in words without, like, every word has value, cost, and place, and there's no out of place word. Every word has purpose. Every word has a goal. And so for him to add in that word as a descriptor to something that we've never heard it phrased that way before, that's completely new, right? It's completely new. And so why is it new? What is he calling out differently? How is he using it to parse the language so that he can not answer the question?
But who's he?
And unfortunately, I got so caught off guard. I can't remember the poor guy's name, but it was one of those two representatives that you mentioned that was testifying in the hearing.
Okay, so that's an interesting take, because from what I had heard was that they were just appointed to the position. They don't even have a full leader in that yet, and that they were kind of caught off guard with the questions because they hadn't been fully indoctrinated into a lot of the stories like Malmstrom or the Wilson documents or anything along those lines.
Well, yeah, and they would be selected and briefed for the goal of keeping them somewhat ignorant, because you don't want to expose anyone to testimony that's going to create any kind of litigation issues, right? So to a degree, they want people who are. I mean, we've talked about this before in the show on Friday and other places. Figureheads. One of their purposes is they are the safe one to testify. That's like in their job description. You're one of the safe people that can testify. And the way they keep you safe to testify is that need to know is really strict. It's only what you absolutely need to know. Because
well, what are you hearing about any future type talks here within the next couple of weeks?
Well, to me, it's not a. I don't even know why anyone's debating it. I find me a time in history where the House or the Senate has done anything successfully that the other side hasn't replicated within weeks. I don't think it's ever happened, ever, in the history of the country, right? I mean, this would be the first. I mean, I guess it could happen. But the thing is that, I mean, that if you want to look at it from one point of view, the numbers for that hearing were fantastic. And Senate's going to want to, get their paw in the game. So now a good thing to debate is whether the Senate hearings will have a public and a private element, or could it just be a private element? And that I suppose is a possibility. I would hope not. If nothing else, their egos will probably keep that from happening, because the House one went really well from everyone else's point of view.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if they end up, because all the rumors are saying that we could have new hearings within the next couple of weeks on this subject.
But here's the other reason why there has to be hearings in the Senate is because basically if you don't get hearings in the Senate, then what that means is nothing that's being talked about in the House has any intention of ever being legislated. Because anything that has to be written into the legislature has to go through the Senate as well. And they would have to have knowledge about it, and they would have to be briefed on it, and they would have to be part of the process. Now, you could do all the work in the House and then toss it over to the Senate, and that happens all the time. But the point is, the Senate's going to have to work on it, so they're going to have to get involved one way or the other. So it kind of has to happen no matter what. Whether we hear about it or not may be the bigger question.
Interesting. Well, when you think of the idea that we could have these hearings within a couple of weeks, do you expect to see any names that we may recognize as part of people being called up in front of Congress?
So prior to 8 hours ago, I would have said absolutely not, and I would have been kind of horrified if anyone was claiming to know that sort of thing, because I'd be surprised if that kind of information came out. And then Ross Coulthart was no, I feel bad. It was either when he was on with Jimmy today or it was when he was on with Nori on Thursday. He basically said point blank that what he's hearing is that there is a second hearing in the works, and that the people who would testify at that hearing are of a completely different class than the first hearing. They are people who want to testify, and there are people who are coming prepared to testify.
God, we better hope that's public.
And that's what Ross Coulthart said.
I hope it's public. Who would you choose? Who are your top 5 that you would choose?
Oh boy. You know, oh boy, I'm going to just turn like a whole community against me at once just by doing this. I don't know.
Lou Elizondo? Chris Mellon?
Yes. Chris would work. Elizondo would work. Elizondo would definitely work. It would work. Here's my problem. I don't really want a bunch of outsiders testifying, because they're not going to be listened to, right? I mean, maybe one, right? Maybe 1 or 2 for real impact, right? Robert Salas or something, you know?
Robert Salas, Travis Taylor?
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is that the optics of this hearing is like nothing I've ever seen, and I have a really hard time. And the thing is that what I'm talking about is that, like, we used to laugh all the time about the idea of people from corporate America going into government service, or people going from government service into corporate America, because we worked in both worlds and we saw how vastly different they were and how easy it was to screw up royally if you didn't know all the rules of each, right? And so, oh man, I couldn't even come up with 5.
Well, my top 5 would be Robert Salas. It would be Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon, Travis Taylor, and Robert Bigelow. I want to see Bigelow on the stand.
Hey, you know what? Okay, Dave, nice. That's a good list.
Yeah. We got 15.
That's a good list. That's a good list. No, I like that list. I hadn't thought about Bigelow. That would be interesting.
I'll explain my list when we get back, so our radio audience understands who I am chatting about here when we get back from the break. The Unbiased UFO Report with the fedora wearing John Hudson continues on Spaced Out Radio. And when we return, we'll debate who would you put in front of Congress. Talk UFOs and much more. Certainly news as well. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. See, Jules, I thought about Gary Nolan. But the problem with Gary Nolan is right now his research would be considered way too woo for where we're going. Eric Davis, I could see putting him on there. Oak Shannon. Hal Putoff. Admiral Wilson. Guys, instead of typing in one at a time, give me each your top 5. Your top 5. If you're in the chat room, give me your top 5. Asteroid Deuce Bigelow, child prodigy. Damn rights. If I ever met Robert Bigelow, I would ask him if I could touch his hair. Because I think it's a helmet.
That would be your question.
Him and Leslie Keane, they have helmets.
So my question for Bigelow has always been very simple. You clearly found the answer you were originally looking for. So why are you continuing? Bugs me. No one's ever asked him that.
Give me your 5, people. Give me your 5. James Weston, how you doing, buddy? The summer of punk has begun. King of Huecamundo. Wow, Jules, you would put John Alexander up there? Oh. Oh. You are a rebel.
Oh, boy, wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't that be funny? And see, that the other problem is you don't really know how everyone would behave. You know, people behave differently when they get on the stand.
I think you would hear John Alexander plead the fifth as many times as he could. The Doug Shelby is exiting the building, people. The Doug Shelby is exiting the building. Who is CRM? Oh, my knees are killing me tonight.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, God.
Why is that?
I was playing a little bit of baseball with my son outside. And the little jerk made me bend more than twice.
You know, about, I don't know, 10 years ago, I think it was. I was like in my, like mid-30s. And I started like realizing I wasn't like as mobile as I thought I was. And so I started doing this this T25 like cardio like workout thing. And oh, dude, you do the craziest things. You've one-handed push-ups, like I mean, just like the craziest things you couldn't even imagine you end up doing. But it takes a while, but it's amazing how I'm probably more flexible now than I've ever been in my whole life.
All right, we got about 35 seconds. Thank you to Doug Shelby, Horror Realm, Philip, Thomas, Dry Toast and Phil Minervino, the birthday boy, for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support. Thank you to all the veterans who are hanging on out with us. We really do appreciate it. And we're going to continue here in about 15 seconds. We're around to third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate tuning you on in. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with the unbiased UFO report tonight with our main man, the fedora-wearing John Hudson. John, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Very welcome. All right, dude, let's get into it. Top 5 that you would like to put in front of Congress. Now, I gave you mine. I said Luis Elizondo. I said Chris Mellon, Robert Bigelow, Robert Salas, and Troy Taylor, the head scientist at Skinwalker Ranch. Who's John choosing?
So the hard thing for me is that for me to answer this question well, you have to actually have some clue as to what everyone actually knows. And so then the question becomes, are you weighing this based on what the person knows or what the person might present like in the congressional setting? And so for me, what I would really want is I would want something like Kit Green's knowledge in like Brennan, the former CIA director's body, right? Like I would rather have, if recently former heads of intelligence agencies and those, I would rather have those people, but actually saying something, Since
you're dodging the question, Jonathan Davies, Hal Puthoff, Eric Davis, Lou Elizondo, James Lukatsky, and Troy Taylor. Let's see who else our listeners have here. Let's just scroll on up. Joe Monk, Lou Elizondo, Science Bob. For some reason, he's got me on there. I'm not going to do squat down there. Robert Salas and Donald Kehoe.
But look, I mean, keep in mind, take where'd that last list go? Because I mean, I like this list for what they know. I like the list for what I believe they know. But some of these people, I'm a big fan of Eric Davis. I actually really am. I really like the guy. I was actually following him for years as a physicist before I even got into UFOs. So I'm a big fan of his. But I don't know if I would want him testifying. I don't know if I would want Puthoff. Oh man, okay. You know what it really comes down to? I want to see everyone's performance on the stand first.
Well, you can't have that. John, once in a while, you got to use your imagination. Jules here, Hal Puthoff, Luis Elizondo, Stanford scientist Gary Nolan, scientist Eric Davis, and John Alexander, one of the aviary. That's an interesting.
I take it back. You know what I would love to do? Not do any of these people. Grab 5 kids from aerial school.
That would be beautiful. Let's grab them to be on this show. We're working on that.
Get 5 kids from that.
Stephen
Hell,
in the UK.
get 5 kids from anywhere. Any sighting.
Stephen in the UK. Lou Elizondo, Travis Taylor, Hal Putoff, Robert Bigelow, and Oak Shannon. Mennonite Abe wants to see Lou Elizondo, Eric Davis, Hal Putoff, Admiral Wilson, and Dave Scott. Dave has no fire in this game. Yeah. No fire in this game.
And the thing is that everyone's doing this based on what they believe, each one's going to do. And like, I mean, I may just be completely wrong on, whether so-and-so, like Mellon, I know Mellon can testify well, right? I know actually Elizondo can testify well. I mean, even someone like, oh man, I don't know.
Philip Blair, Jacques Vallée, Robert Bigelow, Leslie Keane, Ralph Blumenthal, and Michio Kaku.
I could go for Vallée.
You are over. I can feel your mind working right through here,
because essentially what I'm really doing for my own purposes is I'm thinking of all the arguments I know that can tear down these people, which groups they're from, how accurate they are, and how successful they are. And so I'm more looking at that from the point of view of which one of these people are actually going to stand up to the type of analysis that's going to be done on them after it. And what sort of a backlash is that going to create for us? So, yeah, I'm overthinking it.
Logan Black, I want to see Captain Kirk, Spock, Mulder, and Scully, plus the observer from Fringe. That's brilliant.
Or what were those 4 guys that the X-Files, but those 4 geeks that would help them out sometimes? They were called like the Unknown something or other. It was very funny, but.
Yeah, they're probably UFO Twitter.
Exactly. Well, yeah, in many cases. The lone gunman, that's what it was.
You're going to dodge this question, aren't you?
No, actually, I don't have any problem to giving my answer. I have no issue with it at all if I really had it. I realized that I would feel comfortable with Gary Nolan. I'd feel comfortable with Jacques Vallée. I would feel comfortable with Christopher Mellon. Even Elizondo. I don't really know if Elizondo is a good idea because of the way the public reacts to him.
Well, the only public that's poo-pooing him is people on UFO Twitter. And that's a small percentage, considering he is considered a Christ among people there.
Yes, but the thing is that once people become a public interest person, then it doesn't take long to get out to get to the mud, right? And the thing is that I don't have any sort of like challenges with essentially like being wrong or calling out a bad person. To me, that it's a short list. I can think of Vallée, I can think of Nolan. Come
on, you're throwing in Corey Good and David Wilcock, aren't you?
Boy, can you imagine what would happen?
Asteroid, Bill Nye, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Captain Kangaroo, Santa Claus, and the Easter Bunny.
Might as well get Oliver North.
Wow, dropping an Ollie North here on the show. That's awesome.
He had his own talk show for a while too. Yeah. And basically you want people that just have been so damn clean. Just so damn clean. I mean, you take Elizondo, for example, right? Someday, the work Elizondo did at Guantanamo Bay is going to become more and more public. Now, in my personal opinion, for what I know of it, I don't have an issue. I'm not going to be common in my belief. And so there will be a time where people will essentially take that information and use it to attack him for everything else he does. And so there's a good example of something that I worry about, right?
All right. Well, you could also go with Admiral Wilson.
I've never even seen him talk.
Well, I'm sure he talks.
But I don't know if he presents well. But I mean, keep in mind, Dave, like, professional public speaker, right? I mean, that's what I've been doing for a living for a long time. So, like, I'm probably just extremely critical of people's delivery on stage.
Well, I mean, you'd have to have either Davis or Wilson testifying after their memo went in as record.
If you wanted to use the memo at all, yes, you're right.
I think Admiral Wilson would only come in and testify if he was granted immunity.
Wait. Can you imagine sitting in the room, Davis?
Okay, that doesn't go over well for our radio audience.
I'm
Eric
sorry.
Davis,
Please, you speak. I can't right now.
Eric Davis sat next to Admiral Wilson.
But no, to me, it's the idea of us calling them to testify and them sitting next to each other in Congress and having to wait until they get questioned, and just watching the body language between the two of them became just the funniest scene in my head. So I apologize.
Avi Loeb would be a good one. Thank you, Philip Blair.
Yeah, he would. Well, yeah. Yeah.
You could even have members of the board of directors for the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies. Tom Whitmore from MUFON. Bring out Tom Whitmore from MUFON.
Actually, Tom would do well, I think. I think Tom would do well.
Tom would do very well.
I really do. I think Tom would do well.
Nicole wants Kit Green and Ron Pandolfi. Radio, buddy.
I'm sorry, man. All I can say to people is do your own research on Ron Pandolfi, and eventually you'll find this as funny as I do. It's all I can say. Yeah. Look, there's a lot of personalities in this world, and you know, when someone does, yeah, it's challenging. And that's the thing, is everyone's got stories, everyone's got challenges. That's why I think, like, when we saw a video of Brennan basically making a statement about the fact that there were things that were unknown, that to me was bigger than almost anything else, because it was someone who wasn't necessarily an experiencer. I guess it could be, but it's because the thing is, we need people up there that people can relate to, and that people, they can relate to. And so we have to look at, who's in that audience, who are, well, no one's like those Congress critters, but the people at home, right? And, Jim Semivan, he might be interesting.
Jim Semivan would be bad.
Yeah. But the thing is that for me, like, it really is, like, I have in my head, like, a list of people who I think could actually present anything well. And then I have a list of people who have information that I would like to see come out in Congress. And that's two Venn diagrams that really don't seem to meet much at all. mean, like in very small places.
Nicole, the old crusty farts at Lockheed. And
Steve Justice would be interesting.
Steve Justice, former Lockheed executive, would be interesting.
Justice I would like to see. That cat, man, that one bugs me.
If somebody says Nick Pope out there, I'm gonna pull my hair out. All I know is
Nick Pope and Tucker Carlson would be awesome.
I was playing my son and I were playing catch today. You got those Velcro pads you put on your hands around, and then you throw the tennis ball at them.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if you put that on top of Nick Pope's head, that thing is never coming off. Never coming off. He's wearing that forever with his Brillo pad hairdo. Seriously. That Velcro hair of his, there is no way. And what's he going to say? I mean, can you imagine Nick Pope being in front of Congress?
Nick Pope, Tucker Carlson, and Corey Good, and David Wilcox, and then...
This is my Nick Pope impression.
Oh, my goodness. This could be so much fun.
Sorry for a moment, but I haven't got the latest quote from Lou. I haven't got the latest quote from Chris Mellon. So let me just remind you, I worked for the DND in the UK, the MOD.
Now, no, I'm sorry, David, totally right. But I just want to point out, Nicole Sasquatch brings up a really interesting point, because there are records of Battelle employees making statements that along the lines of when they were creating something, when they were working on the creation of something like titanium or something, and they'll talk about what were their insights that they got in the very beginning. And a couple of them that I've seen that I've never been able to actually go out and get qualified basically said things like, well, my boss brought in this part and he gave it to me, and I just always assumed it was off some Russian or German plane. I didn't know. But that's where I got the idea from, and those kind of stories would come out. And if those stories could be confirmed, having some of those people talk would be really interesting, because if you can start showing a real path through the DoD from a production manufacturing point of view, that would get a lot more senators interested.
John, it's been an interesting night with you on the Unbiased UFO Report. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks, or in a couple nights, pardon me. We got to get to Shirky Poo's news.
What time is it?
It's time for Shirky Poo's news!
Oh yeah, Shirky Poo has us all up to date here. A man disguised as an elderly woman in a wheelchair smeared cake across a piece of glass that protects the Mona Lisa at Paris's famous Louvre Museum, and then was immediately sent for psychiatric evaluation. The incident happened this past weekend when the man, who wore a black wig and lipstick, abruptly smeared the glass with cake. One witness said in a tweet, the man jumped out of the wheelchair and attempted to smash the bulletproof glass of the Mona Lisa before smearing cake on it. What a waste of cake. Who does this? Oh, I can't smash it, so I'm going to smear cake on it. Thank goodness the 36-year-old was arrested pretty quick. Oh, by the way, he smeared cake over it because it was a stunt to protest climate change. Yeah, you're going to improve the climate by smearing cake on the Mona Lisa. Have fun in jail. Well, Lego and their world-famous blocks may be annoying to anyone who steps on one. Toy company has irked a new group, PETA. Yes, this is where we all roll our eyes at PETA once again, as they are taking aim at Lego, more specifically, its farmyard sets and toys, for misleading children about the horror and cruelty of farmed food. The group fired off a letter to the Dutch company after Guardian journalist and environmental campaigner George Monbois attacked the cozy story told the children about farms. He wrote, "As young children, we are constantly exposed to benign visions of the livestock farm, which bear no relation to reality. The only farms most children are likely to visit are petting farms and play farms, which reinforce their cozy story." Yeah, so Lego is now a target of PETA because they have farm sets. PETA needs to get a life, honestly. You know, their smack talk is horrible. I would like to know who is on their PR department because they need to be fired. Step into my office. You're fired. Your ideas are horrible. Lego, come on. A Chicago news crew got quite the scare during a live segment about gun violence when a man was caught on camera pointing a gun at them. Police are still looking for the suspect after a man walked behind Fox 23 reporter Joni Lum and her camera crew and appeared to pull out what looked to be a small handgun while they were live on air. The suspect then walked down the street, still holding the apparent firearm. The gun was 1 foot from her head as he pointed at the camera or the cameraman, tweeted the Fox reporter and Anita Padilla. "She is understandably shaken. Thank God she's okay." That could have been ugly. And finally tonight, remember that woman we told you about a few months ago? She was making $5,000 a day for selling her farts. Yeah, the model is now selling her underboob sweat. You can't make this up, people. She is making up to $5,000 per day on her OnlyFans, Steph Motto from Connecticut, for selling her underboob sweat. Talk about an entrepreneur. Horrible. That is your Shirky Poos news. I don't even know where it comes from. My goodness. I got a lot of sweaty places. Who'd like some toe jam for $5,000 a day? We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone on our channels, YouTube, LDAP, Twitch, Facebook, Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home.
I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Good times. Good times. Good times. Good times. Good times. Oh. Boob sweat. Unbelievable. Boob sweat. That is a cute picture, Joe. Lola's looking cute. Thank you for that. Okay, so that's where we normalized it right there. So let's bring this down. Normalized at 88. See what that does. Should bring it down. Come on. Bring it down. Close enough. Close enough.
We're watching.
How we all doing out there? It's a good show. Lots of people here tonight. Lots of good people here tonight. Let's got to hear this first, guys. See what kind of quality we're getting. Of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters, Fortean researcher, author, and publisher of phantomsandmonsters.com. He began the blog in 2005. It's steadily grown. We normally want it. Okay, we can use it. Sorry about that. There's one. Any questions, comments, Taco Bell stories that anybody wants to share? Or are you guys just going to chat away? Hello, gorgeous angel wings. Didn't see you sneak in there. What time is it? It's time for Shirky Poo's news. I still love that. I don't care what anybody says. I don't know, Oob. That is a tough question. When animals dream, do they know it's not real? Will Taco Bell ever add boob sweat to their menu? I think you'd like that, Philip Blair. I do. I think you'd like that. Dark Light. Dark. Light. Darker. Lighter. Sorry. God, I love Taco Bell. I'm still 2.5 hours away from the closest Taco Bell. Painful. You're being right there in your grasp, but you can't grab it. I like Baja Blast. It's fun. I just hear the difference here.
I couldn't see that clearly because
His chin hair is on par with high quality UFO news. John, welcome back. His chin hair is on par with high quality UFO news. John, welcome back.
Thank you, Dave. How are you doing today?
I am doing great, and I'm going to be honest with you. Every day we get a little bit closer to mosquito season, and it's a little bit bothersome for me. It goes wet spring, mosquito season, fire season, back to mosquito.
I just want to pick out a couple things that just hit me, just hit me emotionally in some way,
This was too hot going there. those levels too hot. Okay. Tinker with that tomorrow. Good night, Roy Boy. Mennonite Abe would love to go to. That's good. Mennonite Abe would love to go to South Africa. But more importantly, he's already saving for Vegas 2023 in the SOR party. Isn't that right there? You can tell us, Mennonite Abe. We're all friends here. You're going to join us again. Hi, stunning Stephanie Jackson. How are you? Hope you're having a good night. Dave, you should get Ronnie on to build up the Brazil hearings. Yeah, but then I have to start caring about the Brazil hearings, and I'm not sure I want to do that just yet. Jessica S., she's planning on coming to Vegas 2023. I'll be right back. Didn't mean to do that. Oh. How we all doing? All right. Let me just get these out here. Can't believe we're at May 31st already. Wow. That's quick into 2022. What's really cool around here is it's bright now until about 10:15 at night. That's pretty cool. Thanks, Kevin Bruce. Appreciate that, my man. He's watching in on Facebook. Oh, I am tired. I actually had to work today at my daytime job. It's horrible. Where is that chat group? We've been chatting all day. Oh, Kevin lived in northern Alberta. From New Zealand. Very nice. Philip Blair, working on it. Working on it, my man. Hopefully soon. Hopefully within the next couple of years. Let's find out what's happening in Africa. It's been a while since we did that. Maybe the animals will give us a show tonight. Shall we? Wow, the river's really high up in Olifants here. Look how high the river is there. That's moving pretty quick. See what's happening at Cat Eye. Anything? Nothing ever happens here. Except that one time we had elephants. Tembe, how about you? Nothing. See what's happening at Tau. Oh, we got a zebra that isn't drunk. Oh, he must have heard me. He stopped. Oh. It's like you guys are an embarrassment to your alcoholism. These three are like, oh, what a wild day this has been. What do we got over here happening? Oh, another zebra. More zebras. Some of them gazelle things. And a bird. No, we're not trying to bald eagle cams. It's nighttime. Namibia, let's go there. Nothing. Son of a. All right, let's go to Namibia cam. Let's go to the Kalahari. Still looks like an overgrown golf course to me there. Come on, we got to go to Rosie's Pan. Where's Rosie's Pan? I think we're going to go this way. Bloody zebras. Way too sober. Rosie's Pan. Let's see what's happening here. Oh. Nothing. Thank you, Logan. for that great super chat. Jonathan, I haven't even thought about it yet. What is with all this porno stuff? It's the third time we've been hit by that. Or that one too. Jonathan, remind me where when the Brazil hearings are. Stephanie, this is in Africa. A pond called Rosie's Pan. Coolest thing I saw at Rosie's Pan was this tree branch right here. There was like a python laying on that, and a hornbill bird came and landed on it. The python actually struck and ate it. That was kind of cool. This is what we call elephant dookie right here. Yeah, good old Nick Pope. I would love to testify in front of the United States government, but I'm not up to date on what Lou Elizondo or Chris Mellon has said recently. Boy, nothing happened in a Rosie's Pan. It's terrible. What's this camera here? Pandion Helatius. It's a pretty cool looking bird. June 24th, you said, John? Yeah, we might do something for then. Look at the bird. It's like, oh, God, that breeze just, it's killing me. Well, why don't you be like other birds and put a roof on that damn thing? You got half of it done. Why stop there? Put a roof on. Oh, yeah, this is boring. Back to the river. Remember the other day around here, a couple weeks ago, we had crocodiles laying on there. That's how I noticed the river went up. All right, back to Tembe. Nothing. Oh, hold on. What we got here? What did you see? You zoomed in on something. What do we got here? Come on, give us something. Give us something. I'm not doing anything on the SCU conference next week. No. Just scheduled as normal. Let's go back to Namibia. Look at all the birds there. Holy cow. Look at all those things. God, they almost look like bats. There's hundreds of them. Damn right we want elephants, Joe. SCU, is a scientific coalition of UAP studies. Well, that's from earlier. That's the same watering hole. That's from March 8th. I don't need that. That's garbage. Try this one again. This is the most useless camera. I've never seen anything on here. Nakoro. Nothing, as per usual. Let's watch how a pond sits in its dirt. Oh my God. Terrible. What's this one? Oh, there's some hippos. There's some hippos. Lazy sons of bitches. The only good part about the hippos is every now and again you'll see them fart. All right. That time of the night where I have to say goodbye because I have to go to bed. Old Dave gets tired around now. Travis W., how you doing? Mystics Walk, nice to see you. Tomorrow night on the show, who the hell's tomorrow night? Drew Banky is going to join us. Psychedelic aliens. Psychedelic aliens. That's where we're going. It's going to be a great time. Great time. 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. Thank you to the super chatters, Logan, Doug, Horror Realm, Philip, Thomas, Dry Toast, and Phil. Really appreciate you people for helping us out. Excuse me. Thank you to everybody who gave us a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. All the veterans tuned in. We love you. And, of course, all our regulars. You guys are amazing. We'll see you tomorrow night.